Glock in my...
What can be said that hasn't already been said about SpongeBob SquarePants? I mean, seriously, this is one of the most known cartoons in the world. I grew up with this yellow sponge, as a lot of people did, and I've recently found an urge to rewatch the episodes from the early stuff to even recent stuff I haven't been able to catch up with. From the good stuff to season 6, I really am dreading reviewing season 6. So, me and my good buddy, cohort, and punching bag, Gabe, decided to watch through and rank the episodes as we went along. Season 1 is home to some of the most single iconic episodes in the show. While definitely not my favorite of the first 3 seasons, Season 1 offered some of the greatest episodes the show could offer. And such, me and Gabe watched through all 41 episodes and ranked them worst to best. I should mention that, obviously, these are in A-B format. This means that there's 2 episodes within the one 30-minute runtime. The criteria for these mostly goes off of humor, the basic premise of the episode, and if the episode holds up to the modern day storytelling and humor. Bonus points if the episode is notably iconic. Anyways, here's all 41 Season 1 episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants ranked worst to best. Number 41, Reef Blower. As much as Season 1 had its bad episodes, I kind of wanted to leave this one out. For one, it's not even a full episode. The pilot episode featured 3 segments: Help Wanted, which served as the official pilot, Tea at the Tree Dome, which introduced Sandy, and this, which is clearly more of an animation test than an actual episode, which is why I wanted to leave it out. But instead, I decided to just put it at the worst of Season 1 just because that'd be fair. It's not an especially funny episode, occasionally getting a somewhat okay laugh here and there, but Reef Blower just doesn't have enough to stand to even the worst episodes of Season 1. All I have to say about Reef Blower. Number 40, Fools in April. The problem with the worst episodes of Season 1 is that they can often feel the most like a modern episode of the show, either being too mean-spirited or cruel or just lacking in humor. The cruelness is the problem with Fools in April. The April Fool's episode of the show, this one is very mean-spirited with Squidward pranking SpongeBob, but of course going too far. I don't know, I guess we get this Squidward reaction. And it doesn't end on the best note. That being said, this one does have some good laughs, and I have to admit, this scene is iconic.
You what?
With all this said, I can't call Fools in April good. It's way too mean-spirited, and unlike an episode like Grip Pants, the mean spirit doesn't go away by the end of the episode. And even the moral's kind of off with this one.
Yeah, hey!
Number 39, Naughty Nautical Neighbors. You'll soon realize that the majority of these episodes are low in the ranking because A, the standard is just too high, and B, some of these episodes don't leave a big impact. Naughty Nautical Neighbors is certainly a weaker episode. It's got a very simple setup with Squidward sabotaging SpongeBob and Patrick's friendship, only for it to backfire on him. But the jokes don't nearly hit as hard and the setup is not exactly top tier. It's still funny, but it's not as iconic as other Season 1 episodes.
Hey, Patrick, I heard there was a job opening down at the pet shop. As some newspaper.
Well, fuck you.
Number 38, Tea at the Tree Dome. Tea at the Tree Dome is considered a classic in SpongeBob Season 1 history, but I argue it's not as classic. Yes, it has the iconic "I need it," but other than that, it's a very simple concept and occasionally funny jokes. I'll keep going back to the fact that Season 1 is just so iconic that it became difficult to rank some of these, but this one is just kind of okay in my opinion.
What kind of place is this?
Number 37, Bubble Stand. I argued as far as I could with this one, but yeah, Bubble Stand isn't as great as I remember it being. It's got the standard funny moments, but it's not a very over-the-top funny episode. Except for this. The setup follows SpongeBob setting up a bubble stand. I argue because this one was earlier, the show is still finding its footing. I also argue that Cars 2 is an okay Pixar movie, so what do I know? While there's things I do like about this episode, it's definitely just okay in my opinion. Number 36, Nature Pants. Despite having one of my personal favorite jokes in Season 1.
Here, use this.
Oh, you got jokes now, do you, boy? Nature Pants isn't as great as I remember it being. It has a very standard story about SpongeBob living amongst the jellyfish. And outside of giving us that joke and the Patrick frame, I really can't call this much more than okay. Number 35, Muscle Bob Buff Pants. Muscle Bob Buff Pants is another episode a lot of people remember being iconic. And I'll admit, I still laugh my ass off at the anchor bit where the anchor always crushes the guy.
Let's see an instant replay.
But other than that, again, this one is just okay in my opinion. It's got its funny moments, but I just see it as a repeat of a much better episode from Season 1. That we'll get to in a bit. But it's so similar right down to SpongeBob learning his lesson regarding Sandy and all the beach dudes. I don't know, it's hard for me to pick on this one because, again, it has a few moments like the anchor bit, but again, it's just okay. Number 34, Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost. We're getting to the point where it's pretty much just a crapshoot, or Or a crapshoot, no. Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost is pretty great, but it really comes down to being as iconic or over-the-top funny, and this one is somewhat funny. Following Squidward pretending to be a ghost and making SpongeBob and Patrick his servants, I guess it has this iconic scene.
One watermelon, fresh from the manure field, your spookiness.
But other than that, it's good. It definitely has funny bits and pieces, and we're getting to the point on the list where clearly there are too many good episodes to rank. As is, it's good, just not iconic.
Okay, get in.
Number 33, Jellyfish Jam. Jellyfish Jam would be way lower if it didn't have this bumpin' jammin' song. This shit fire!
La, 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 la.
No, I'm sorry!
Other than that, what I call the B plot, despite being the plot of the episode, is just okay. SpongeBob befriends a jellyfish, he wreaks havoc, bumpin' song. It really doesn't have much substance, but it gets bumped up a few points thanks to its catchy instrumental piece. Number 32, Employee of the Month. Employee of the Month, like other weaker Season 1 episodes, comes down to just being good, with its funny bits. It's funny, I can't quite remember any specific jokes, but I do remember me and Gabe laughing quite a bit, so I guess that's why it's up so high. It's pretty standard with a plot about SpongeBob and Squidward fighting for Employee of the Month award, which I'm glad that Squidward acknowledged how shit that award is anyhow. Employee of the Month was a fine episode, but I don't see it being iconic.
Who's the winner of Employee of the Month? Me!
Number 31, Valentine's Day. Something I didn't really care for in Season 1 was how many episodes were based around holidays. As we saw earlier, we had the April Fool's episode, and it wasn't that great. And Valentine's Day is better. It's got way more laughs, and the setup is decent. Not much to say, this one's good, but not great. Valentine on these nuts, yep. So I've seen rankings where the top 10 or top 15 or something were hard to rank because all of those movies or whatever were just too good. It's like that with the top 30. So just know, it's a crapshoot from the beginning. Anyways, kicking the top 30 off is Plankton. A pretty great episode introducing the antagonist for the show, who would later become the villain in the movie that was supposed to end the series. Well, Plankton is an episode that does have its iconic moments. And as you'll see with the rest of the top 30, each has a moment that instantly becomes quotable or referenced. From this point, it's about being the most iconic and most hilarious. Plankton is funny and iconic, but there's 29 episodes I'd call better.
Yes! Yes! Come to... Brand new bag for bro, but I didn't pay for it.
Number 29, The Chaperone. The Chaperone is another episode heavily aided by its song, but unlike Jellyfish Jam, the plot does have substance and it's relatively funny. SpongeBob takes Pearl to prom. Easy setup, but the humor and animation especially helped this episode out. And who can forget that bump and dance number? Alright, you fucking morons, I'm gonna teach you how to do the tender. Well, you take your dick and you rip it right off. Oh, fuck. While it's not top 10 or even top 20 worthy, The Chaperone definitely has great moments. Number 28, Suds. Suds is definitely a little more uncomfortable than I remember being. I mean, Patrick is literally 50 Shades of Grey with this scene. What do you want me to say to that? That being said, it has one of my favorite Patrick lines from Season 1.
Don't touch me, I'm sterile.
SpongeBob getting sick is actually a very interesting idea. He's a sponge, how would you cure him if he was sick? And thankfully, Suds is a very creative and, as always, very funny episode. Well, not the funniest, I do think there's a few pretty good laughs in this one. Though, yeah, it can get weird at times. Another fucking star put peanut butter on his feet, what the f- Number 27, I Was a Teenage Gary. I will say if you are squeamish, this episode definitely isn't for you. But other than that, this one is pretty damn creative. If anything, it's a little strange. Squidward forgets to feed Gary and Gary gets sick. He's given snail plasma, but Squidward accidentally injects SpongeBob with it instead. This makes for one of the fucking weirdest things from Season 1.
SpongeBob, I already told you, you're gonna be just fine.
I'm at the blow. It's a bit uncomfortable if you are easily squeamish or not a fan of Tusk. I mean, I don't know a lot of people who are fans of Tusk, but still. It's pretty good, and hell of a weird. Number 26, Help Wanted. The episode that started it all, it's Help Wanted, the episode that kicked off this iconic series. And while it's still not a top tier SpongeBob episode, give credit where credit's due, this is pretty great. A classic setup with a Tiny Tim song because he had music at one point, I don't know. I don't associate him with anything other than SpongeBob, so I guess I'm beat. This isn't the best episode by a jackrabbit on a horse with a the rabbit. Number 25, Walking Small. Initially this was higher because in my opinion, Walking Small is a very charming episode, but I opted on putting it down a few because I just felt the 3 to 4 episodes it was above were just slightly more memorable. The episode follows Plankton teaching SpongeBob how to be assertive, obviously having ill intentions. It's interesting because initially with the episode title, you wouldn't think it would be anything that memorable. Hell, me and Gabe didn't even know what it was about from the title. But it has a lot of really great moments, including the iconic stepping on the beach, about to fuck some hoes, about to fuck some hoes, and overall, I didn't bump it down because it was a bad episode, just a lot lesser than I intended it to be.
But it's becoming increasingly obvious. I can deny it no longer. I am small.
Number 24, jellyfishing. Jellyfishing was initially way higher on the list, not like Walking Small, which was supposed to be about 3 spots higher. No, I'm talking about 10 spots higher, and looking back, yeah, I misjudged the hell out of this one. It's not bad, but considering the episodes between them, yeah, total misjudging. But what can you say when there's 41 episodes to rank and your ranking partner is Gabe? Jellyfishing really does introduce a key part of the show, and it has some solid jokes. Really not much else to say. This is another early episode, but I liked it okay.
Brand new bag for bro, but I didn't pay for it.
Number 23, Sandy's Rocket. I'm partially disappointed in Sandy's Rocket because I remember it being one of the funniest episodes of the season. But as its number 23 ranking proves, I guess I was slightly wrong. It's still funny, but it's just not as back-to-back funny as I remember it being. Maybe it's because I was a dumb kid back then, now I'm a dumb adult. But this story of SpongeBob and Patrick stealing Sandy's rocket and thinking everyone they come across is an alien is pretty iconic for the show. So yeah, while definitely on the fence about this episode's memorability, it's still a pretty solid episode nonetheless.
Ahoy there, lads!
Uh-huh. You want this nut?
Number 22, The Paper. The Paper is an episode I completely didn't expect to be this high, and all the great stuff comes from the creativity it can portray from its simple concept. To be honest, a lot of the best episodes often take simple concepts and makes them great. The Paper is definitely one of them. Don't believe me? The literal concept of this episode is SpongeBob playing with a piece of paper. There are a lot of creative scenarios and hell of a lot of solid jokes, and you just wouldn't expect that from this episode. It's a lot more solid than I remember it being, and that's saying something.
Look at me, I'm a guy with a mustache.
Number 21, Squeaky Boots. I argued this episode higher for as long as I possibly could, but honestly, it is another case of Sandy's Rocket where I found it not as great as I thought it was. This isn't to say Squeaky Boots is a bad episode because it has some damn funny jokes. This concept of Mr. Krabs giving SpongeBob Squeaky Boots is pretty iconic. But listen, it was already hard to rank the top 30, so it only gets tougher by the tens.
Yeah, I'm ready to order.
What do you have?
I'll take a...
It's big smaller than my toes.
What did you say?
I said I'll take a...
Big smaller than my toes.
Huh?
I heard his order, Mr. Krabs. He said he was.
Squidward knows.
What?
Number 20, Hall of Monitor. In the top 20 of this season are some of the most hella iconic episodes in the show, and kicking it off is Hall Monitor. When SpongeBob fans quote iconic lines from the show, more often than not, they take an iconic scene from this episode. It is pretty funny that SpongeBob thinks he's protecting the city, but instead becomes an overnight criminal. Yeah, that's pretty solid. And Patrick might have some of his funniest moments in this episode.
Okay.
Horrible!
It's definitely bottom of the top 20, but that's not saying anything bad. Number 19, Hooky. Honestly, the last 2 episodes of this season were way better than I thought. Hooky and Mermaid Man 2 are actually pretty funny and really great. And while we'll get to Mermaid Man 2 when we get to it, Hooky is the lesser of the 2, but that's not saying much. This has so many funny moments, especially with Mr. Krabs freaking out over the hooks. Some of the best voice acting delivery from Clancy Brown.
The hooks! The hooks! How about a mint?
Hooky is a very funny episode, despite the fact I thought it would have just been okay.
No, no, no!
1, 2, 3.
Wait!
Number 18, Home Sweet Pineapple. Home Sweet Pineapple is a classic setup from season 1. SpongeBob's house gets eaten up by nematodes, and the rest of the episode is just full of great jokes that sometimes even get back-to-back laughs. Yeah, we're getting to the point where every episode gets at least a few back-to-back jokes that land. And this one has some really iconic jokes, especially the one with Squidward being half asleep when SpongeBob asks if he can stay the night, and then all of a sudden he realizes. Yeah, it's pretty funny, and as I said, it only gets harder to rank from here.
Spider! Spider!
Knows.
Number 17, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. In my opinion, some of the funniest characters in the early seasons were Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and our crime-fighting duo Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. And the first episode to feature them is all but too iconic, with SpongeBob and Patrick trying to get them out of retirement. Again, back-to-back laughs and introducing some of my favorite characters from the early seasons. What else could I ask for?
You may kiss the bride!
Number 16, Karate Choppers. Karate Choppers was an episode I swear me and Gabe both expected not to like. We remembered the concept and thought, no way is it in the top 20. And it is, it's actually way funnier than either of us remembered. The episode follows SpongeBob and Sandy getting obsessed with karate, much to Mr. Krabs' dismay, even up to him firing SpongeBob over it. You see, we saw how that would work later. It didn't, and no one liked it. But this was when the writing was good, so whatever. This has way more good humor than me and Gabe remembered, and truthfully, we weren't expecting to like that as much as we did.
SpongeBob, you're fired!
Huh? Fired?
Hey?
SpongeBob?
Number 15, Opposite Day. I'll be honest, I saw the title Opposite Day and didn't even remember what it was. Was it another Fools in April or Valentine's Day? I'm Squidward, Squidward, Squidward. Yeah, Opposite Day is so iconic for the show, following Squidward trying to sell his house despite his rambunctious neighbors. I can't even spell that shit. The episode has to have some of my favorite jokes from season 1, but again, it just came down to little things. And I'd say everything from here on out, I'd call at least 9 out of 10s. So whatever the case, Opposite Day is iconic and there's no secret why. Because I'm Squidward, I'm Squidward, Squidward, I'm Squidward. Number 14, Boating School. Boating School is another episode where you just know the title and you know what you're getting. SpongeBob goes to boating school to get his license. Yeah, that's pretty good, but it gets better when Patrick gives the answers to SpongeBob during the test, and with one of the funniest punchlines to end the episode on. Mrs. Puff is a very underrated character, so it's nice to see that this was an episode to fully introduce her.
Listen carefully. What's pink and square at the same time?
I don't know, Patrick.
Patrick SquarePants!
Number 13, Culture Shock. Culture Shock is another episode where you may not know the concept by title, but you definitely know the concept following Squidward presenting a talent show, which goes awry. And that's about it, but it truly does have some of the hardest hitting jokes with an iconic dance sequence. What the? I do like that Bikini Bottom is so culturally inept that someone doing janitor shit is peak entertainment for them. God bless Bikini Bottom, their theater didn't get Across the Spider-Verse. Culture Shock is a way better episode than it had any right to be.
Nice try. Your act's over, Bob.
You may win this time. Chia Kazee!
Number 12, Sleepy Time. Sleepy Time is an episode that takes a simple concept and makes it creative. I love episodes that really do play around with their creativity and the humor that can spawn from said creativity. I also like that Patrick's dream is so simple because Battle for Bikini Bottom had a dream level where Patrick's dream was ass on grass.
Here is mighty battle cry. La, la, la.
Sleepy Time gives so many creative scenarios, all out of the concept of SpongeBob invading people's dreams.
This looks neat. I wonder if
Number 11, Mermaid Man 2. Mermaid Man 2 is the final episode of season 1, and I'd say it ends on a pretty good note. With the return of the funny old people, the introduction of a lot of really iconic Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy villains, especially I-Died. This one, like Cookie, is so funny, and way funnier than I remember it being. Just outside of being our admittedly tough top 10.
tons, like the windshield wipers are right here.
Don't touch that button, it's the origami button.
Number 10, Rock Bottom. Alright, our top 10, all 10 of these episodes, in my opinion, are 9, maybe 9.5 out of 10 or higher. This top 10 had some of the single best episodes of the series, and kicking off the top 10 is Rock Bottom. This episode introduces a lot of creative designs with the residents of Rock Bottom. It has one of my favorite SpongeBob bits where the bus driver is just a troll on SpongeBob. Like, that just might be on par with the thing from Nature Pants. A lot of the top 10 have scenes like that, and truth be told, I didn't think Rock Bottom would be in the top 10. But to my surprise, it's way more back-to-back hilarious than I remember it being.
Patrick, I think we're on the wrong.
Number 9, Neptune Spatula. Neptune Spatula introduces one of the 20 renditions of King Neptune, but other than that, this one is pretty damn funny. With my favorite bit being this old lady who asks Patrick a question. She's clearly voiced by an older lady here, but then holy smokes! Neptune Spatula follows SpongeBob pulling the sword from the stone or whatever and competing against King Neptune in a Krabby Patty cook-off. Neptune Spatula is just iconic, just as the other top 10.
He is the new Royal Fry Cook, and you know.
Number 8, Scaredy Pants. Despite my thoughts on past holiday specials, the Halloween special Scaredy Pants is way better than all the other specials combined. Fuck Atlantic SquarePants, bro. This episode showed that the show wasn't just good at being funny, it could also be batshit crazy disturbing. Scaredy Pants features SpongeBob being mocked for being scared of everything, with a lot of great jokes and iconic scenes that I've
Come for your pickle.
Scaredy Pants remains an iconic Halloween classic.
Rah, rah, I'm the Flying Dutchman.
Number 7, SpongeBob 129. These top 7 were so difficult to rank. So just know, I absolutely adore all 7 of these episodes. Anyways, at number 7 is SpongeBob 129. A lot of people I know were introduced through this episode, and I can't blame them. This episode is so creative, sending Squidward to the future, the past, and even somewhere in between. I absolutely adore the creativity that went into this episode and the others in the top 7, really playing with the animation and the style the show was creating. SpongeBob 129 is an undying classic that I truly adore.
Horrible mistake!
Number 6, Texas. Texas has Patrick getting fucking killed. This episode's amazing. Not only do we have a pretty emotional song, but the humor in this really hits home for Sandy. Don't you dare put the name of Media Bros in vain! Can we say the creator of Media Bros is dumb? I also like when the episode is able to teach a good moral, even if it's not too subtle. This one teaches that home is where the heart is, and I truly do believe that Texas is, and always will be, one of the greats. Number 5, Arg. Again, when an early episode gets super creative, it makes for some of the best humor and scenarios. And that's what we get with Arg, an episode following Mr. Krabs getting obsessed with a treasure-based board game, ending up looking for a real treasure based on the board game. Arg's greatest achievements included spot-on pirate humor and some pretty great exchanges between Patrick and Mr. Krabs.
That's West, Patrick. You're fired again.
Arg kicks off the top 5 episodes that I just couldn't rank without some difficulty. And truly, I love the hell out of it. And it was fun to revisit.
I'm rich! Look, Patrick, 8 gold doubloons!
Wait, I saw it first, yeah!
Speaking of fun, number 4, Fun. The best episodes often had a catchy tune. In fact, this one and the top 2 have a catchy and iconic tune to go along with it. This episode follows SpongeBob befriending Plankton, and singing a song about fun. This episode proves that even if not every joke hits, a song can really bring an episode up. The Fun song might just be one of my favorite classic songs from SpongeBob. Fun is an iconic episode that deserves the love. Number 3, Pickles. Pickles is an episode I truly know inside and out. It's got iconic humor, a pretty funny antagonist with Bubble Bass, and without a doubt one of the funniest unexplained bits in SpongeBob history. Bubble Bass just throws Squidward for no damn reason. This is amazing. This episode is proof that even with such a simple concept, the writers knew what they were doing. And to me, Pickles is well deserving of a top 3 spot. Still no bitchy! Number 2, Rip Pants. Our runner-up for this ranking is Rip Pants. Like Fun, this episode's song is so iconic. The vocals, the backing tracks, it all blends together to make one of my favorite SpongeBob songs. I thought that I had everybody on my side, and then I blew it. All sky high, and now she won't even spare a passing glance. All just because I fucked yo bitch. Rip Pants was the episode I mentioned with Muscle Bob Buff Pants, and truly, I consider Rip Pants to be the superior of the very similar episodes. Rip Pants is iconic, and there's no secret why. Number 1, it's pizza delivery. It's fucking pizza delivery. I give Fun and all of them the proper credit, but I don't know those episodes inside and out, outside of Pickles. Yeah, I know Pickles, but this is an episode I could quote from beginning to end, with the funniest and hardest hitting jokes, good chemistry between SpongeBob and Squidward, and an iconic pizza delivery song. What else could I ask for the number 1 episode of Season 1? Well, that's all I've got. Until next time, no, guys, is that fucking Jason Lawnmower?